Assalamu alaikum dear students. Today we are going to read about Light in the Night. What is in its story? The story is about a gas lamp. In the 70s, only in London and Paris had street lamps, and after that, with the passage of time, it's changed into electric bulbs. No, let's start the reading. London is a major capital city. At night, it glows brightly, like most modern cities. Before the 70s, London was much smaller than it is now. One cloudless, moonlit nights, people would take advantage of the moonlight and go out to socialize. But night time in the city could be dangerous. You could trap, fall, and injure yourself. If you fell in the river, you could drown. You could be attacked or robbed by a criminal who roamed in the streets. You could easily get lost. If people wanted to go out at night, they would have to carry a burning torch or lamp. If they were rich enough, pay someone else to carry it. There were many links boys who could, for a small fee, hold a burning torch or lamp ahead of a people so they could see the way through the dark streets. Some of these links boys were dishonest and could rob the people who had employed them and then run off and leave them in the dark. By the early 70s, busy cities like London and Paris had street lamps. In some areas in Paris which had street lamps before London, the first street lamps were actually lights placed in the window of houses. Police enforced a law that said every house had to have a lamp burning in the window at night long. If the lamp went out, people would have to get up to relight it or face being fined. Some people started to offer their services as lamplighter in return for payment. Lamplighters would put up a lamp outside the house and make sure it was lit. The street lampers reassured people and made them feel safer. The authorities realized the benefits they brought and took over the installation and maintenance of them. All over Europe, the use of lamp posts grew. In the 70s, London grew rapidly and became the world's trade center. Manufacturing and fashion business became important, and lights were needed to keep the city working and entertaining in the night. By the late 70s, London had so many street lamps that visitors to the city were amazed by them. The lamps were fueled by wax or oil that gave off an unpleasant smell and often dripped. Many people were employed as lamplighters because each lamp had to be lit by hand every evening. One German tourist visited London in the 17th wrote in his diary, as it was quite dark when I came back the first evening, I was astonished at the admirable manners in which the streets are lightened up. The bright lamps made the city seem exciting and lively. The lamps are so near each other that even on the most ordinary and common night, the city has the appearance of a festival illumination. The lamplighters quickly became an important and valued part of the society. This was because they often became a key figure in their communities. They would walk the same route twice a day, and as they were checked, cleaned, fixed, lit, or put out the light, they would notice what was going on around them. Many lamplighters helped to make their routes safer. Their jobs required energy, strength, agility, and reliability. They had to keep the lights clean, make sure the wicks were trimmed to the right length, light tens of lamps in the evening, and put all out again in the morning. Many lamplighters were pleased to be guardians in their communities, and often the job would be placed on from parents to children. The lampposts of London were designed with the bark sticking out on either side at the top so that the lamplighters could safely rest his ladder on them. The lamplighters moved quickly, carrying their ladders and going up and down 100 of times a day. The lampposts were decorated with royal crest and were looked after carefully by the lamplighters. When gas lamps started to be used from 1805 onward, they changed the work of the lamplighters. The gas lamps were much quicker to light and didn't require lots of the work like the oil lamps, such as changing the smelly oil and replacing the trimming wicks. Some of the lamplighters felt their job wasn't the same anymore. Charles Dickens captured this feeling in the story The Lamplighters were one character talk about the change from oil to gas the lamps. I foresee in this the breaking up of the profession. There's no more going the rounds to trim by daylight, no more trampling down of the oil on the heads and bonnets of the ladies and gentlemen when one feels in spirits. Any low fellows can light a gas lamp. Gas lamps were better than oil lamps in many ways, although a big issue with them was every now and again one would blow up. Over time, gas lamps replaced oil lamps, later with the invention of electricity. Gas lamps were replaced by the electric lamps which now dominate modern streets. Today, there are still 1500 gas lamps in London. 5 people are employed to operate them. They light them every evening and put out every morning. These lights are carefully looked after because they are a part of the city's history. Kensington Palace Garden is the name of a long avenue in London. It is lined with grand old buildings and is lit entirely by gas lamps. They were there. You can imagine what it would have been like in London during the time of Charles Dickens. That is the end of today's reading. Take care. Allah Hafiz.